in the NFL. We know in the NFL, the great quarterback is more valuable than the great coach. Now, the great coach may be more valuable than 90% of his roster, but if you get the great quarterback, he's simply more important. And in the NBA, you're going to advance generally if you have fewer deficiency with personnel. We spend way too much time nitpicking coaches. Take Mike Budenholzer. He's getting shelled. He doesn't make adjustments. He literally doesn't make adjustments. Let's just not double-team Kevin Durant. They're in the Eastern Conference Finals and favored in the Eastern Conference Finals. By the way, Ty Lue out west adjusts every 30 seconds, and he's also in a conference final. They have two totally different styles. Why? Well, the Clippers' scouting department's pretty good. They got 10 guys who can play. And why the other one? Brooklyn fell apart. It's deficiencies. You know, Utah's a prime example. So Utah loses to the Clippers. Oh, Quinn Snyder. Didn't do this, didn't do that. Who ate Utah alive? Kawhi Leonard when he was healthy, a wing. Paul George, a wing. And Terrence Mann, unstoppable, a wing. Why? Because Utah's had an issue. We have talked about it on this show for 3 years. They don't have an elite athlete on the wing. We said when they were down 0-2, I said, I still like the Clippers to win this series. When they were down 0-2, I said, and even when Kawhi got hurt, I thought the Clippers were doomed. But they still had Terrence Mann and Paul George. Two wings. Utah can't defend them. It's not a Quinn, you can nitpick Quinn. Utah has a personnel deficiency, and they know it. They've got to get more athletic. I mean, go look at when the Clippers were built. Why did they immediately defend LeBron well? Because they have Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. They add Terrence Mann. They got a bunch of wings. By the way, if Ben Simmons could shoot, Doc Rivers would win these games. That is a personnel deficiency. It's not a Doc Rivers deficiency. Think about the coaches we like. Nick Nurse and Steve Kerr didn't make the playoffs. Personnel deficiency. Tibbs, what a coach. He won a single playoff game. Eric Spoelstra will be a Hall of Famer. Love Spoelstra. He got swept. Rick Carlisle, that guy's a genius. He had a 2-0 series lead, went back home, and lost the series. Did they get dumb overnight? No, I mean, it's funny. Brad Stevens, Jaylen Brown gets hurt. Kyrie Irving didn't work. Kemba Walker's got bad knees. Did Brad Stevens suddenly become a bad coach? If Jaylen Brown is healthy and Kemba Walker's knees were better, you could have Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals. But none of those happened. It's all, look at Nate McMillan. This is his 17th year coaching. In the 16 previous years, he had one playoff series win as a coach. That was the Sonics back in like 2005. Good team. Suddenly now, he goes to Atlanta midseason. He is in the conference finals. Did he learn how to coach? No. He made an offensive-driven team better defensively, and Trae Young hits a bunch of shots late. We just nitpick the coaches forever. I mean, by the way, Ty Lue, give the scouting department for the Clippers, maybe the best in basketball. They got 10 guys that can actually play. But the one thing they can't defend, what is it? They couldn't stop Donovan. They couldn't stop Luka. They couldn't stop Booker. They don't defend a great scoring guard. That's kind of their deficiency because you can't have everything in a salary cap league. So they're big. They're great on the wing. But if your guard's great and scores, they can't do anything. Even Ty Lue can't. So Budenholzer makes no adjustments, favored in the conference finals. Ty Lue is adjusting everything. He's in the conference finals. Coaching thing in the NBA is they didn't play together. Kyrie's erratic. KD's obviously great, but has injuries. Harden has never really been great in the postseason where he depends on the whistle. And it's kind of ironic. All those three things is what you saw in the playoffs. KD was great. And Kyrie was unavailable. And Harden kind of underwhelmed. That's exactly what they were. People tell you what they are. Believe them. So now, the good news is super teams are usually better in year two. Miami Heat's better in year two. If you look at LeBron James, Year one never equals a championship. It's always in year two. Year two in Miami. Year two in the return to Cleveland. Year two with the Lakers. So it takes time to get stuff going. The issue with super teams, though, is always the same. You can't have a bench. It's a salary cap league. I mean, you're asking Kevin Durant to play 53 minutes in Game 7. He averaged 45 minutes most of this series. I mean, it's an insane number. And if you go back to the last super team we had with 3 stars, KD, Stephen, Clay, and even Draymond, what was their issue? Bench. They would depend on Alfonso McKinney and Quinn Cook to play way over their head against great players in big spots. That's not fair. So you spend all your money on cars, folks. You're not going to have as nice a house. You have to make decisions on this. Brooklyn's bench, and I kid you not, this is a true stat, did not attempt a shot, not one in Game 7. No, I'll repeat that. Brooklyn's bench did not attempt a single shot in Game 7. The Phoenix Suns, not a super team, but really good, their bench gave you 60 minutes and was 8 for 15. That's the difference. By the way the Suns are constructed, Chris Paul only has to play about 30, 31 minutes because they have a backup point. Kevin Durant's got to play 50. Go to overtime, he's got to play 50. He's got to play all of them. And so at one point, Brooklyn was depending on Blake Griffin to be big for them. Well, that's not fair. Blake is way past his prime. And so, you know, if you're eating steak and lobster for dinner 4 nights a week, you're going to have to eat ramen and Lunchables the other 3. You got to make sacrifices. This is not baseball. It's not the Yankees. You just can't buy your way out of problems. So whereas the Warriors super team was so gifted, I mean, that's who I really look at Brooklyn as. The Warriors had 3 of the great shooters in a shooter's league and Draymond Green. Their bouncer at the bar, the tough guy. Brooklyn has 3 of the great closers in basketball, but both of their issues are the same. There's no bench. And by the way, when you're top heavy, we see this in the NFL as well. When you're a top heavy team, the Rams are top heavy. The Cowboys are top heavy. The Seattle Seahawks are top heavy. What happens? When you're top heavy, it literally takes one injury can derail everything. It can derail everything. I mean, the Cowboys lose their left tackle, Tyron Smith. It's not the same team. The Seahawks lose a pass rusher or a DK Metcalf goes down. It's not the same team. And by the way, top-heavy teams, you can win championships. They don't last a long time. But what you find yourself doing with the Warriors dynasty, with the Nets, with the Seahawks, with the Rams, Cowboys, it's a lot of finger crossing. If you're healthy, it's great. But come on now. When you are asking in a condensed season, Steve Nash was literally playing 6 guys. I mean, come on. And Milwaukee now is no longer just a finesse team. Milwaukee's a physical team. So these are heavy logged minutes of Milwaukee, Drew Holiday and PJ and Young.